But a lot of people, even people that think you respect or like going on TV, like, and just feeding into the narrative. I'll tell you one person. I haven't talked to him much since. Stephen A. Smith really pissed me off. And the reason he pissed me off was because he hit me. He's like, yo, it's been hard for a lot of us to talk about you these last few days. And, for me, I'm like, okay, it's been hard for me to watch, but I'm watching it because I want to see everything that everybody has to say. But the thing that pissed me off is you tell me it's been hard for y'all to talk about me, but have not one time, like Stephen A., anytime I meet someone and they say something about you, it's never like, yo, I like him. He cool. It's always like, man, fuck that dude. He a character. He's this, he's that. And I always say back, I actually know the guy. I'm like, the guy is actually a cool dude. Like, I know, like, you can take what you want from the TV screen, but I actually know the guy. He's a cool dude and a real dude. And then you get the opportunity to talk about me. And listen, I know you got a job to do. I know you got to do your thing and say what you got to say. But at not one point did you say, well, y'all are saying this person is up and this person need help. Now, I know the person. Say what you want about the basketball player, that's fine. But I know the person. And by the way, it just wasn't him. To sit back and see those that claim to know and appreciate me as a human being just flow with the narrative because it was easy to do, I lost a lot of respect for a lot of people.
All right, so JJ, you and Shaq both agree on something, and that I think you guys have issues with voting for NBA awards. Shaq's issue is whenever we talk about the MVP, he's always saying what matters more, individual production or standings. If I could make you the commissioner for the day, how would you change the way that the NBA votes on awards? And that includes who gets to vote on the awards themselves.
Interesting. I would like a better definition of a couple of the awards, particularly most improved player. I think that's the one that, like, should we have a cutoff for, you got to get it by your fifth year. It's all fifth-year players and under. There's certain times where, like, Shea almost got it last year. I'm like, dude, this dude was a star the year before. Like, did he get better? Yeah, he got better. But, like, I think most improved to me has always been about, like, a guy playing a completely different role or developing a completely new skill set, right? A guy goes from, this guy's a 30% three-point shooter shooting 2 a game to all of a sudden he's a 40% three-point shooter shooting 8 a game. That's like, okay, that screams most improved to me. MVP is interesting because I think everybody has a different definition of it. I said this the other day when I did my awards show for the Old Man and the Three. MVP, if we're weighting like all the individual awards, and let's say we start at a baseline of it's 50% individual performance, 50% team performance, right? I would hold on. Let me get somewhere. That's the baseline, Shaq. That's the baseline.
Okay, I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Okay. Man. MVP to me is you have to weigh the team performance a little bit more. All NBA, you weigh the individual performance a little bit more. But Shaq disagrees with me, and I'd love to get his thoughts on this matter.
It's a singular award.
The MVP.
Most valuable player.
Yeah.
Player.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with the team.
Okay.
If you're
So you're saying we should just give it to the best player every year, regardless of what his team did?
Okay, no, so we should interject the rules a little bit. Like, for example, if you're 1 through 8 and your team is in the playoffs, you qualify for most valuable player, right? You qualify for most valuable player. I've always thought it was stats, how you played, and your effect on the game, right?
Yeah.
If you put SGA with Charlotte, would he be talked about as MVP? Would he?
Why'd you bring up Charlotte? Why'd you just throw Charlotte in there? That's weird.
Good.
That's just the first team that popped in your head?
They're not in the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
great
just Charlotte. But Like so, I mean, so now this is very interesting because my criteria and everybody else's criteria is working. SGA is the baddest boy in the league by far.
You think he's the best player in the league?
One of the best players in the league. He's the most valuable player this year, in my opinion.
Okay.
One of a few guys that had 30 points 55 times, right?
Yeah.
His team was number 1 and number 2 and great on the game. Like, let's switch a little bit.
Hold on, I want to say one thing real
Yeah.
quick. I want to say one
Go
thing.
ahead.
Actually, I want to say two things to your point. Number one, as it relates to SGA, I think what is frustrating now as a voter and as someone,
You get to vote?
yeah, they
Huh?
asked me to vote. I voted.
You get to vote, and I don't.
I get an email that says, "Do you want to vote?"
That's some bull.
Jack, you don't respond to your emails. That's the issue.
Well,
with-
apparently this guy doesn't watch the NBA.
Yeah, according to your according to your old friend.
No,
He's on that list, too.
I want to say something. I wanna
Yeah.
say what is frustrating to me is there's a lot of guys, at least the 2 years I voted, there's a lot of guys that deserve it. And everybody gets into this argument for a player. And by doing that, then they inherently get into the argument of why so-and-so doesn't deserve it. And that, I think, gets frustrating at times because my criteria can be a little bit different than your criteria, can be a little bit different than her criteria, and that's okay, right? That's why they have 100 voters. I just don't like the argument against people. The other thing, too, is one of the arguments that has popped up recently, and particularly as it relates to Jokic, is this idea that we're setting a precedent now. If he gets 3 in 4 years, let's say, if he gets 3 in 4 years, we'll look at the history of the NBA. Guess what? Voters f***ed up a bunch of
They
MVPs.
sure did.
He should have had more. MJ should have had
Yep.
more. Duncan probably should have had more. There are years where
Kobe should have had more.
There's years where the Spurs had 60 wins and didn't get anybody on the All NBA list. Like voters have f***ed up. What? So we're gonna make the argument now that we shouldn't vote the right way. I'm not saying this is not an argument for Jokic. We're saying we shouldn't vote the right way now because we f***ed up in the past. What? That is illogical.
It should be Hall of Famers and ex-players only. 50 Hall of Famers and 50 ex-players. That's it. That's how voting should be. All these earthlings like Stephen A. and Shannon Sharp and, Mad Dog and all that. No, I'm just saying, like, they shouldn't get votes. It should be 50 Hall of Famers and 50 ex-players that understand the game.
Yeah, like I'll ask this question to you. Victor Wembanyama is leading the NBA in blocks. He's leading the NBA in stocks, steals, and blocks.
Yeah, but
There's a lot of people that last year, that gave Jaren Jackson Jr. Defensive Player of the Year because of all those same categories. But the defense for the Spurs isn't that great. So how do we figure out, is he the best defensive player in the league, or the team defense has to be that good, and we give it to Gobert because Minnesota's defense?
I don't give it to him. I give it to Bam. I don't think. Me personally, I'm not a Gobert fan on the defensive end. I
You
think.
think it's a little overrated on that side?
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Oh, Rudy,
Yes.
thank you.
Why do you think?
Love
Do
you.
you think this is a sentiment that the NBA thinks and that the fans and the analysts are on the wrong side of? Like, is this something that the players truly know?
You know what I would like? I would like if this thing of ours was ran by us.
I think that too.
Like if you're gonna have an analytics guy, he played in the league for 6-7 years. If you're gonna have anything that's going on with the league, you need players looking at it. Like I never thought he was a great defensive player either. See, what it is there's not a lot of centers that are making him play defense. Like he's not doing it against Joker because he has to be engaged. But when he's going against another guy, he's 7'6". Of course, if you lay it up, he's gonna block it. But defense to me is guard that, shut him down. You want to impress me? Hold Joker under 15 points. Now you're playing all that weak side blocking shot.
Meet you
That's
at the
cool,
rim,
but
yeah.
it ain't gonna
That's
work
what you're supposed
against
to do.
guys like me and Joker and Embiid. What he's talking about with Bam plays people. He plays the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5. So I would give it to him too.